The entirety of an NFL season is a long and grueling journey for everyone involved, from the players to the coaches to the entire staff that's required day in and day out to keep the organization moving. And it's all for one goal: to be the best team on earth and ultimately to bring home the Lombardi Trophy. That finality that comes at the close of each season is part of what makes all of sports so engaging and intense to follow. All the hours and weeks and months all lead down a tunnel to that last championship game or series. As a result, there's nothing worse than having one botched play decide your team's fate, and some of the most heart-wrenching losses over the years have come in the games where it's win or go home, because messing up instantly ends the year-long journey to get to the Super Bowl. I wish I could say that I feel the pain of fans that have endured these kinds of losses, but my team hasn't made the playoffs since I was learning my times tables. Anyways, I digress. As a bit of a different topic today, I'd like to take a look back at two of the most shocking playoff finishes in recent memory, and where the players responsible for them are now. Just to clarify, this isn't a list of playoff chokes by an entire team. It's more about the actions of an individual player that cost their squad the game. So yes, Atlanta fans, that is your cue to exhale. Also, no games from this past season's playoffs, since it's only been 6 months. Let's give the double doink a little bit of time to rest. Since we've established our ground rules, we're ready to head back to the past, but before I do, I'd like to thank today's sponsor over at Manscaped. Everybody knows the importance of at least making an attempt to keep yourself bathed and groomed, but somehow, even here in the year 2019, that same attitude doesn't quite apply when it comes to lawn maintenance below the belt. Thankfully, for those of you out there who have, let's say, allowed the weeds to take over the front yard, Manscaped is here with a solution. The Perfect Package 2.0 contains everything you need to get the job done quickly and safely, with the necessary tools like a waterproof, skin-safe trimmer, razor, and a variety of fresh-smelling products that your family jewels and whoever may be introduced to them will thank you for. I genuinely do recommend these products, and if you're interested in trying them out, head down to the link below and feel free to use my code STE20 to get a 20% discount off your entire Manscaped order and the Shed travel bag completely free of charge. Again, that's code STE20 to get the very best in men's grooming. Now to start off with the most recent and probably the saddest of all of these, let's head back to one particular January weekend in Minneapolis. To set the stage, we're here at US Bank Stadium in the 2018 divisional round. It's the 4th seed New Orleans Saints up against the 2nd seed Minnesota Vikings led by unlikely hero Case Keenum. It's been an excellent game the whole way through, with the Saints rallying back from a 17-0 deficit to take the lead with just moments to go. But the story here isn't just the game itself, it's about one man in particular. This here is Marcus Williams. He's a rookie who was drafted by the Saints in the 2nd round, and he's actually had a really strong rookie year. With all of it beginning with his first recorded tackle in week 1 of the season where he pushed Stephon Diggs out of bounds. Yeah, I'm actually not making that up. But at any rate, despite the fact that he had to adjust to the speed of the NFL, he'd quickly materialize into a key part of the Saints secondary alongside fellow rookie Marshawn Lattimore, ending the regular season ranked 2nd on the team in interceptions with 4, and even being named to the All-Rookie team by Pro Football Writers of America. He'd even close out the season with an 89.2 grade from Pro Football Focus, which ranked 6th among all safeties in the league. And what's even better, or worse depending on how you're looking at it, is that he's had an excellent game so far in the divisional round, with 5 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and even an interception that was instrumental in bringing the Saints back within a field goal of the Vikings. But here's where the sad part kicks in, because despite a great year and even a great playoff game, none of it would matter at all. All it took was one missed tackle to erase an entire season of success and become the reason his team's playoff run was stopped completely in its tracks. The Vikings would win the game in its final seconds to buy themselves a ticket to the NFC Championship, where they would lose handily to the eventual Super Bowl champion in the Philadelphia Eagles. So now that the dust has settled on one of the NFL's most iconic plays, where's Marcus Williams now? Well, needless to say, it was a pretty tough offseason. When your last play on the field was a gaffe that cost you an NFC Championship berth, it gives you a lot of time to think about how everything in your life is probably just a lie. But fortunately, he was able to actually get back up and use that failure as a chip on his shoulder. 2018 was definitely a step in the right direction, though he took a small step back statistically from his rookie campaign. In a full 16-game year, he posted 59 total tackles along with 2 interceptions and 3 more pass deflections. And while he might not be the flashiest or most dominant safety in the game right now, there's no doubt that he's coming into his own as a key part of the Saints' defensive unit. He's got great explosiveness in getting to the ball and denying deep plays down the field, despite the reputation that the Minneapolis Miracle has created for him. So it looks like for now this one's got a happy ending. But since I brought some joy to Vikings fans at the expense of Saints fans out there by even bringing up that infamous moment, let's pay it forward to our friends in Minnesota with our next entry. While the kicker is often a disregarded position in football, it can definitely be one of the most important on the field depending how the game progresses, especially in high-stakes situations like the playoffs. And though it's gotta be one of the most relieving feelings in the world to put your team through to the next round in the final seconds, there's also not too many things more excruciating than watching a potential game winner sail wide when there's no chance to redeem yourself from it. That was the case for Blair Walsh, who was the Minnesota Vikings kicker back in 2016 during the wildcard round. This game was played before the Vikings' new indoor stadium had finished construction, so in Minnesota winter fashion, the temperature on field was around -25 degrees Fahrenheit, including wind chill. As you'd expect, it was a game of ball control and defense until the very end, with 10 punts and 4 turnovers setting up a final chance for the Vikings to win the game down 10-9 with just 1:42 remaining on the clock. After a quick 52-yard drive, they were set up to kick a game winner with pretty much no time left from just the 9-yard line, a 26-yard kick that is shorter than the current distance for an extra point. Obviously, there are a number of factors at play that made this kick different, but just for reference, to this point Blair Walsh had been one of the better kickers in the entire NFL. He'd hit over 85% of his career attempts, and even been named an All-Pro after his rookie season where he set an NFL record by going 10 of 10 on field goals of over 50 yards. He even connected on 3 field goals throughout this day, from 22 yards, 43 yards, and 47 yards. So it was pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point that Walsh's kick was going to sail through the uprights and send the Vikes into the next round. But instead, we got this, a shank that sailed wide left of the uprights. It was a devastating miss, one where even though there were excuses that could be made, there was no way that you can actually make them for a kicker playing in the NFL. Though it was freezing and the laces were facing the wrong way on the hold, when the team's goals are resting on your shoulders and you can't do the job that you're being paid millions to do, not too many people are going to be happy with you, and rightfully so. At that point, all you can really do is hold your head high and continue to move forward. So how did Blair Walsh fare after that mistake that will forever hang over his NFL career? Well, unfortunately for Walsh, he never did overcome the demons that he had to carry after that miss, and things would only continue to get worse for the kicker out of Georgia as his career went on. In the 2016 season, he would struggle more than almost any kicker in the league, missing a league-high 4 extra point attempts as well as 4 field goals through 10 weeks, and even finding himself off the team entirely after missing yet another extra point attempt the very next game. Ironically enough, Walsh would actually receive a second chance with the Seattle Seahawks of all teams. He even got the chance for some revenge in a preseason matchup the next year, where he knocked through 2 50-yarders en route to the Seahawks winning. He continued to build momentum with his new team, going 13 of 14 on field goals through the first 7 weeks of the season. But inexplicably, as it happens sometimes with kickers, Walsh just hit a wall the very next week, going 0 for 3 on field goals in the first half of a matchup against the Washington Redskins. And things would really only continue to go downhill from there, as he'd finish the 2017 campaign by only hitting 9 of his remaining 13 attempts, leaving him with the career-worst 72.4% of field goals made on the season. Fittingly, his year would end by missing his last attempt of the season, which otherwise would have been a 49-yard game winner against the Arizona Cardinals, but instead would prove to be his very last kick in a Seahawks uniform. Despite a few different workouts since that time, Walsh has been unable to get back onto an NFL roster after being cut by Seattle. But Blair, if you're listening to this, I'm still rooting for you. So there you have it. 2 players who cost their team the whole season on simple mistakes that they have wished 1,000 times over that they could have back. And while it may have turned out better for one of them in the time being, those plays will always serve as a reminder of how brutal and uncompromising the game of football can be. Sometimes all it takes is one play to erase an entire season and turn your whole fan base against you, but it's always in your control to reclaim that narrative and make everyone forget about that mistake. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, and things will happen that we'll always wish we could take back, whether it's football or in real life. So to close out this video, I'd like to quote the underdog himself, Rocky Balboa, because it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.